Good morning. It is January 30th, 2022 as I record this, and at the end of every month I do a monthly reflection. And I didn't know if it would be useful to you or not, but I thought I would share my process with you because I find it a really great tool, a reflective tool to use. It just helps me so much because a lot of times I do things in the month and at the end I feel like I forget that I've done them. So then often at the end of the month I think, oh, it's the end of the month. I didn't get anything accomplished. I'm no closer to my goals. And, I have a little pity party. And then if I can do a reflection and I look back through my journals and through my planner, I can see, oh, actually I did quite a bit. So I'm going to use my Passion Planner monthly reflection. If you don't use Passion Planners, you can get a monthly reflections download on their website. But actually, as I'm saying that right now, I'm going to figure out a way to add a file to this Patron feed so that you just have it. And it's really... I love it. So I'm going to go through, and I thought we could do it together. So go get your beverage of choice. I have a mimosa and a mug of tea it's my new favorite mug. It's kind of an eggplant color. I love it. It's from a local artist in Eugene. And I realized as I set down my mug before I started recording that I have a glass top on this table. So I'm going to try and not make a big clunky noise every time I set my mug of tea down. Okay, so just another fun fact, I guess. I started using my monthly spread as kind of a gratitude journal. So every day I try to write something that, I did, or it's kind of a memory book, I guess. So something I did or something I was proud of or something that was really fun or something I learned. So I'm at the end of January, and that means I'm going to go, here we go, monthly reflection. So this is the file that I'll drop in the next post or somewhere in the Patron feed. I will make sure that you get a copy of this. If nothing else, if I can't upload a file for some reason, then I will include a link to where you can go and get it and just download it for free. So I've got a couple markers and I have a fountain pen just to make it a nice ritual thing. Sometimes I like lighting a candle, which I'm going to do right now. So make yourself cozy. Get yourself into a reflective mood. I have a nice scented candle here that Passion Planner sent me. And it's actually kind of a Christmassy scent. Home for Christmas is the name of it. But it smells really good. So I've lit a candle. I have a pretty fountain pen and a mimosa. Let's get down to monthly reflection. Okay. What was the most memorable part of this last month? Describe it. I'm going to look back through my planner and see, what happened. I'm not going to share necessarily too much about my reflection, only because I want you to do this, for yourself. This isn't a video for me to tell you how I reflected on my month, but it's a tool I wanted to share with you in hopes that you would do it for yourself and see if it worked for you. Okay. The most memorable part of this past month. Describe it. Okay, so if you haven't already, pause the video and go through that first reflective question, the most memorable part of the month, and describe it. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything, but for me, it was going and visiting my sister in Florida, which I hadn't seen her and my mom and the other parts of my family, my nieces and nephews, for over 3 years. So it created a big impact on me, and I really felt connected again to my family. And that's important to me. So that was the most memorable part. It doesn't have to be a personal thing. It can be a business related thing. It just, whatever was the most memorable. And it doesn't even have to be a good memorable thing. It can be like, I broke my leg. That was the most memorable thing. So the most memorable thing, and describe it. And I put on some pretty music and, like I said, lit my candle. And so I just sort of got into kind of a Zen place and went and did that reflective piece. So if you haven't done so already, pause the video and go do that thing and start back up again. So the next question is, in this reflective journal space, is what were the 3 biggest lessons you learned in this past month? It occurred to me that I didn't turn off the music, so I don't know if that made a big impact or if it was really loud. We'll see. Maybe on the next video I'll have it going the whole time. I don't know. But I think it would be fun, and let me know, Patron, if this is something that will be useful to you. But I kind of like the idea of maybe doing this once a month. And if you really like it, maybe we could even do it live. So we could all get together via Zoom and do this, in real time, and maybe connect a little bit. So the next question is, what were the 3 biggest lessons you learned in this past month? So I'm going to pause the video again, and I'm going to go and do that. Okay. The 3 biggest lessons that you learned. In order to find that out, I looked back through my month and looked at what I did, things that happened, and I was reflecting on how I felt about those things, my responses and reactions to those things that happened or things that I did. And that helped me come up with, sometimes you're not going to come up with 3, and that's okay. It's just an arbitrary number. But when I pushed through to find that 3rd thing, I actually had, not an epiphany, that makes it sound like a big giant thing, but I did realize something about myself, and that's that even though I tell myself over and over and over again that I can't do everything, and I need to pick my battles and focus on the things that are important to me, and have to let some of those things slide. If I have 18 business opportunities, I can only physically do 2 of them. I can't do them all, nor do I have the money for them or the energy for them or whatever, just the bandwidth or the time in the day. It's impossible to do it all. And I have to remind myself of that over and over again. So the realization I came to this month is, well, just that I keep believing it. Somehow, on some level, I still think I can do everything. So I have to keep relearning that, no, you really can't. So that was my, this is why I like doing the monthly reflections, because I always find something that, is important that I take with me going forward. Okay, so the next question in the review is to, I kind of did this already, maybe you have too, but it's to review your planner and in the past month and assess your priorities. Are you happy with how you spent your time? And if not, what steps can you take next month to adjust them? So it's kind of 3-pronged. Go back and look at your monthly diary or journal or Google Calendar, whatever. Look back at your past month and see if you did the things you wanted to do and if you spent your time the way you wanted to spend it. So are you happy with how you did that time? And if not, what steps can you take going forward in this next month to change that? Okay, I'll see you in a minute. One thing I do want to mention is that the very next question on the reflections download is, what did you accomplish this past month and what are you most proud of? So in the planner itself, I'll look through my planner, I'll assess my priorities, and I'll say yes or no, I liked what I did or what I didn't do. And in the process of looking back and reflecting, I'll start making a list of all those things that I did accomplish. So I kind of do these two at the same time. Maybe you will too. Okay, I don't know how long these sections are taking you, but that one was the longest for me. I did write down, you can see like little bullet entries of all the things that I accomplished. And this is my favorite part of doing a Passion Planner monthly reflection, actually, because I really do get to see how balanced or unbalanced I am. And I really do get to acknowledge and celebrate that I did a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff accomplished, even if it doesn't feel like it. I traveled 2 times this month, so I knew that I didn't like expect a whole bunch from myself this month, business-wise, because I was traveling. And, even if you're only traveling like a week, it's still on the beginning of that and before you go, and then after you get back, there's still some where you're trying to resettle back into things or unpack or pack or whatever, get stuff done that normally you wouldn't put in your daily schedule because you're trying to get ready for your trip. So yeah, I was really happy. It was a really lovely balance this month for me between family and friends and business and my podcast and speaking and interviewing. I got to be interviewed on a podcast, and I spoke for the mastermind group that I'm in. I did, some self-care, which is hard for me to remember to do. So yeah, I really had a good month this month. Okay, so the next question for you to ask yourself is, how are you different between the past month and the month before it? So because this is a January monthly review, really what I should do is go get my planner from last year and look at my December monthly review and see how I felt at that point versus how I feel about, right now, where I am in the world now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the video again and I'm going to go get my December monthly review and check what my world was like and my psyche was like and how balanced I felt at the end of December versus at the end of January. So take your time and do that for yourself as well. Sometimes I find that I don't change much from month to month. Other times, a lesson learned has been so impactful that I have crossed some barrier and changed a lot. Sometimes the change is subtle, and I try to be accurate in my tracking. So even if it feels like there's not a lot of change, I'll still mention something so that over the course of a year, I can look through and see if there's a trend or a pattern or something, or an ebb and flow maybe of mood. So I didn't think there was much difference between my December and January, but there was a lot more stress in December for me. I was working overtime at the bookstore. I also had client work and traveling, holidays, all that stuff. So this month I also traveled, but it was more of a self-care kind of traveling. There was more relaxation to it. And I'm down to part-time at the bookstore again. So yeah. And there's lessons learned in there. And again, I won't go into too much about my own revelations, but the more you practice this, I feel like the more you'll see changes in yourself or see patterns in yourself that will be useful as a personal growth tool. Okay, so the next question is, what or who are you especially grateful for this past month? That's usually a quick, fast one for me. Inevitably, my husband ends up being on this list. And so I always do at least two people, with Ali being one of them, because I feel like it's important to always acknowledge my gratitude for him, even if it's just writing it down on a piece of paper, because, you know, it reminds me of all the things he does for me and all the ways that he supports me. So he's always on the list. And then this month I also put my sister Leslie, whom I just went and visited in Florida. So I'm really grateful for the reconnection that we had last week. Okay, so the next thing, and we're coming to a close almost here. The next thing is name 3 things that you can improve on this upcoming month. So what 3 things can you improve on in February, and then concrete actions that you can take towards these improvements. So I am going to share this part with you because I thought it might be helpful. One thing that I struggle with is working on my own books. So I help other people with their books. That's my client work. And often if I have other client work, I end up doing that first because I have a deadline and I want to honor my contracts, and I don't want to let anybody down. So I do their stuff first, and then I do my own stuff slid in the cracks. And that just means that I don't get my own work done, and that feels bad overall. So I want to recommit to working on my own books this February. So what I'm going to do in terms of an action step, and I only did one action step for each of my 3 things this month. Sometimes those action steps are longer, or, you know, I have more. But this time because they're kind of not steps, and that's why I wanted to explain what I was doing this month in this box. So because I thought it, again, would make sense if you're struggling also to come up with concrete action steps. Normally that's a skill set of mine that I'm really good at. But in this case, so in order to work on my own book more often, what I'm going to try is doing 2 Pomodoros. I don't know if you know what that is. A Pomodoro is a 25-minute, or you could choose whatever time slot you wanted, or time block, but historically it's 25 minutes. So you set a timer for 25 minutes and you just work straight through on one thing for that much time. And then you have a 5-minute break, and then you do another one, 25 minutes, and you have a 5-minute break. And then I think some people will do like 3 in a row, and then they'll take like a longer break, a 15-minute break, or even a 45-minute break, depending on what they were working on. So I'm going to do 2 Pomodoros in the morning before I start working on client work. That's my plan for February for working on my own manuscripts. The second thing I want to improve on this month is monitoring how long things take me. And this is for everything. How long does it take me to upload my podcast videos? How long does it take me to, do my planning every week? How long does it take me to do client work? How long, anything, absolutely everything that I do. I want to kind of do a time audit again. It's time, because a lot of my anxiety and stress comes from overbooking myself. And I estimate that I can do more things in a block of time than I really can. And so I want evidence of that. I want to know how long things take so that I don't overbook myself, so that my expectations are not, unrealistic. So in order to do that, I am going to try Pomodoros. I don't do Pomodoros a lot because I don't know why. I'm not really resistant to it. I just don't think about it, I guess, at the time. But I think that if I start doing those Pomodoros, then I will I'll have a timer set, so I'll know how many Pomodoros it took me to do this task. And I'm going to write that down in my planner so that I have evidence of how long it takes me to do things. And then the third thing, as ever, this is always on my list of improvements, is Duolingo. Trying to learn Spanish. I'm not trying very hard, apparently. I go to Spanish class. I do the homework mostly, but then I don't do anything else about it for the whole week. So I want to, this seems so easy. I just want to use the Duolingo on my app on my phone for 10 minutes a day. That's all I want to do. And I've been saying that for like a year. And I keep trying, and it just doesn't work. So I think what I'm going to try to do is add it to my morning routine and see if that works, because I've always been trying to do it at night after I come, after the work day is done, and doing it like after dinner or something. And I never remember, it just never happens. So I'm going to try adding it to my morning routine this month and see what happens there. So those are the 3 things I'm going to work on this month and the action step behind it. Feel free to respond in the comment section of this video to tell me what you're going to be working on, or to tell me any of the stuff that you realized about yourself, the lessons you've learned, or something you're especially proud of, or anything regarding this monthly reflection that you would like to share with me. I would love to hear it. And so the very last, there's a little tiny checklist after this last question, but this last question is from 1 to 10. How do you feel overall about this past month? And I think I'm going to mark mine. I was really happy with how this month worked out. So despite having some anxiety, I'm going to say it's a 9. And I don't think I've ever put a 9 in my history of Passion Planner. Like in the last 7 years, I don't think I've put a 9 down. I'm going to put a 9 minus because I didn't make as much income as I would have liked, but that's kind of beside the point. So yeah, even if you want to just respond and comment on what number you put out of 1 out of 10, how you felt overall about this month. But okay, so that is the monthly reflection, and I do this every month at the end of the month. There is a little extra little bottom bar that is the end of the month checklist, and it says in the first one here to highlight your accomplishments. So go back through your passion roadmap, which this is less important if you haven't, done the roadmap. But the roadmap is, I do this twice a year at least, where I kind of mind map out sort of a, in 1 year I want this. It's kind of a wish list almost. And I pick one thing every month to kind of focus on in this like master list of stuff, goals, that I would like to accomplish. So I go back through and just check and see if there's anything I've done that I can cross off then. And I'm looking quickly here under 3 months. My 3 months, doesn't end until the end of the first quarter. So my first quarter goals I haven't completed. So that's okay. But it's just let's just check in with ourselves. Okay, I haven't done my quarterly goals yet. So what else do I need to do? It's just another, it's not really a reflection at this point. It's more like, all right, am I on track? And then the next step is reform. And this is where you choose your next month's game changer, which is that one thing above all others that would really make a positive change in your life. And pick that one goal, break that down into actionable steps, write those down somewhere, put those in your planner, timestamp them, whatever you need to do to keep it kind of in the forefront so you can just sort of focus on that for the next month. And then one other thing that is not a Passion Planner thing, but is something I'm doing this year, is I did, as an end of the year, task I set myself, was I did a yearly tarot deck spread for the year. So I drew a card for every month. So January's card, and I used the Dreams of Gaia tarot deck for this. I have a lot of other oracle decks, but for this year I just decided to do it with this deck. So the card that I drew for January, and if this is too woo-woo, you can just stop the video now and we're done with the monthly review. And thanks for joining. But if you want a little tarot stuff, I drew the 8 of Fire, and the key words for 8 of Fire, and this again was for the card that I drew for January. The key words are action, change, transformation, transmutation, rebirth, freedom, renewed purpose, and joy. So I kind of wanted to look back through, and see, like, did that happen for me in January? It seemed to me it was all about action for me, because I tend to be in my head a lot. I plan a lot. I think in the future a lot, but the doing of things sometimes gets blocked for me. And so this month in my mind was all about renewing purpose and getting excited about things and actually doing them and taking them to the next level. And so there were a couple of things I did that brought me out of my comfort zone and that I took action on. That's the part that was out of my comfort zone, was taking the action on them. And so I felt like I did do that. I spoke at a town hall meeting for my mastermind group. That was out of my comfort zone, and I was interviewed on a podcast. So there's some things that I did where I kind of like stepped out and did things that were, mildly uncomfortable, but really fun. and I felt like it sort of leveled me up, and I volunteered for some other business things that, again, were mildly out of my comfort zone, but I had a lot of fun doing them. So I felt like that card worked for January, and so that was interesting just to reflect. I just do it as a reflective tool. So I hope you really liked the video and that it was useful. And if you would like to see more of these, let me know. If you love it so much and you want to do it with me real time, then let's make that happen. I would love to do that. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns, you can email me anytime. You can just message me through Patreon, or you can email me, Valerie@ValerieIhsan.com. Ihsan is IHSAN. And I'll see you around. It's been really fun doing this with you today.